Yes. Oh, hello everyone. Hello. We're live. We are live on Facebook. We are live on YouTube. We are live on Twitch for Indie Volt's Geekgasm. Yeah, there's the notification. Wow, that was louder than it should have been. Let's fix that. I do not need that outside of the headphones. Sound like I have no snare in my headphones. All right, there we go. Much better. Much better. Here we are. Geekgasm, Lola's lovely show. We got guests tonight. We got Miss Katrina Roets joining us. Got some people possibly popping in too. We don't know where they're at though. They're late. Your guests are late, Lola. They're late. Got to get that taken care of. Words. I will have words with thee.
I sent all the links out early too.
You can turn your headphones, your microphone on. I'm having trouble hearing you.
Echo.
Yeah, that's all right. I'd rather have the echo. All right. No, let's roll the intro, and we will come back.
Go for it.
Greetings, everyone. Welcome to Geekgasm. I am here on loan from Indie Volt. My name is...
As always.
Oh, yeah. My name is Varian Grant. I am the epitome of comic books. And I don't care what anybody says. I'm the founder of Indie Volt Media LLC, also a comic book publisher and artist. Again, here on loan from Indie Volt. Live to assist Lola. My time on Geekgasm is drawing near. It's drawing near. Soon I will be off on Wednesday nights and able to sleep. And I can't wait for that day. I cannot wait. It's coming soon. It's in the offing. Of course, I got Lola. Lola, introduce yourself.
Hey guys, it's Lola. As you know, I'm the host of Indie Volt's Geekgasm, where all the geeks come to hang out and have fun. It's the best show. Today I got special guests joining us. They're running a little late, but we do have Katrina in the chat with us. So thanks for coming on, Kat. It's going to be a fun show tonight, so hang out with us, jump in the chat, ask us questions, and remember my donation link for my tip jar is in the chat, and the tips are going to fund my first original comic.
Boo. Put your money where your mouth is at. This crowdfunding, no, she's actually working really hard. She's actually got 2 books, and this one is to so she's the other one she's not ready to launch yet, but this one she's working on. Dave Supreme says, "Hey everyone, hey Dave." Big Dave hanging out. Nice to see you, Dave, in the chat. Seeing some artwork, Dave, there today. Outstanding artwork. He did the what is it? The 6, 7, 8, is it 9 character challenge that everyone's doing? And he did, is it 6? Okay. He did one. He knocked it out the park. So I'm not doing one because I'm not about to compete with all these guys. So fuck them.
I'm not doing one because it would be 6 stick figures.
Screw you, Dave, for doing that. But no, I'm gonna let everybody else get theirs. Then I'm gonna come through and make y'all wish y'all you never touched a pencil. I'm just kidding. No, Dave is a fantastic artist, and sometimes Dave just show up and show out, and I don't appreciate it. I really want him to stop. I mean, you're supposed to be like, Dave, I hope you do go through all your art materials because the shit's not essential. So we're going to see what happens when you run out of pencil and paper. We're going to see. Then you're going to have to come to me and ask for pencil and paper. You know what I'm going to say, Dave? You know what I'm going to say? I'm going to say no. I'm going to say no, you can't handle paper. None of my paper. Anyway.
You're like a little kid.
That's right. I'm a little kid. I'm petty and cruel. I'm petty, cruel, and stingy. We also have Mike joining us. Mike, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Hey, excellent. Well, there you go, Lola.
How are you today?
Oh, I'm good. How are you?
Doing pretty good. It's really hot in the house.
Sorry,
so I'm trying to bear with it.
Hot in your house, you said?
Yes.
Oh, right on.
It's probably about 80
Oh yeah, we don't have to worry about that where I'm at. I'm in Canada, so it's definitely not that warm yet. it's it's definitely not hot here.
Where about in Canada?
Just north of Niagara Falls, not too far from the States. We're within driving distance. We go across the border all the time when we're not in lockdown.
Oh, now I
Yeah.
want to know where.
Do you know where St. Catharines is?
I very much do.
Oh, okay, right on. Yeah, I'm in St. Catharines.
Okay,
And-
I lived in Cheektowaga for a couple of years.
Oh, okay, right on. That sounds familiar. Yeah, I apologize. I was trying to use an app that I use sometimes. I do like especially right now. I teach in colleges and I'm doing online classes because everyone's locked down, obviously.
Mhm.
And I have an app that lets me appear as a cartoon character, but it doesn't look like it's actually showing up on your guys' end. It's like a virtual camera, but I'll see if I can either fix that or switch over to my regular camera.
I get you. Yeah.
No problem.
Yeah.
Come talk to Pops Van Zandt. Say, what's up?
Hi, Pops. How are you?
Benny Richard.
Guys.
Hey, Benny.
I'm gonna bring up your questions, but first.
Varian, I cannot hear you.
Crap, I'm
She's
sorry.
muted.
I'm gonna bring up Lola's questions, but first, why don't we get Katrina? I want to introduce yourself, and then I want to talk about your 5-book challenge.
All right. Hi, guys. I am Katrina Roets, specifically, I guess. I am a prose and comic editor as well as a writer.
I don't believe you. And you do write quite a bit of comics, quite a bit of stories. But now you recently explained to me the 5-book. It's not really a challenge.
It's not really a challenge. It's a 5-book offer is, I guess, more like it. For my prose customers, I'll get to the 5 books in a second, but for anybody who writes prose, short stories, novels, that kind of thing, I'm currently offering a 10% discount off of my services. Now, for comic folk, I've been feeling really bad because I've seen a lot of people who are having to shut down their comics because they just can't afford to have them done in this time right now of craziness. So what I have offered is for five people, you can't come to me with 5 books, 5 people, I am willing to edit and proofread a single issue for you for free.
Free. Favorite word. Until I got to pay for it.
Then it's all bad.
Still muted, child.
Oh, I know. I mean, you're right here.
He's so shocked he forgot to unmute himself.
Well, the problem is we're like diagonal from each other.
Oh, okay.
Like I'm looking right at him.
Yeah. You don't want to hear what I had to say about like free. I'm like free is horrible. We can't do.
I know it's and trust me, this is not for what's that word that we all hate? Exposure.
Oh yeah, I mean it's. I worry about free. Free is worse.
But this is why it's limited to 5. I cannot put myself out of business, guys. But yeah, the first 5 people that come to me saying, "Hey, I've got a book that needs looking at."
Yeah, I mean for free, that's really big of you.
Yeah, well, if it's just a proofreading, it's about a $30 value.
Mhm.
If it's a full edit, it's about $150 usually.
Oof.
Yeah.
How do you expect to eat? How do you expect to eat?
I got about 170 pages that if you want to look at.
She's like, I'm gonna have to charge you for those.
Yeah, and I guess guys, when I say 5 issues,
Mhm.
I mean standard issues, not graphic novels. I do need to limit it to the standard, 24 to 28 pages.
Yeah.
I have how many people taking you up on it so far?
Nobody.
No one.
I've actually been a little bit
hopefully
surprised.
we can
I
see
actually
some
put this out there about
tonight.
2 weeks ago.
Mhm.
and
I said
I've
hopefully
had
some
nobody
people will
pick me up
contact
on
you
it.
tonight.
I think that if some, well, I mean, now you got listeners, because right now we have 6,400 people listening on Indie Vote Radio.
Okay.
So you may get to now, guys. Also keep this in mind, Indie Vote Radio listeners. She can only edit in English.
Yes,
Correct me if
please.
I'm wrong. So,
I make no promises. If you send it to me in another language, I'll have to use Google Translate, and we all know that's just not going to come out looking pretty.
yeah, and then her editing skills are
No.
useless at that point.
Yeah.
At that point, she's no good for anybody. So
Yeah, no, this does have to be English only.
yeah. Are you going to Josh says sell that sizzle. Yeah. Yeah. So 5 books. Time is fleeting, guys. You got a book, get it to Kat. She will
Yeah.
look at it for
I know, it's a hard word.
free.
Yep, and you can reach out to me on Facebook, Katrina Roets, or you can reach out to me, Katrina at catscratchpress.com, and that's cat with a K.
All right, let me see here. Lola, send me that. I'll put your Twitch stuff in there. I'll put your link out there. I don't know why I wouldn't do it. That's weird. So we're gonna share Lola's tip jar link as well.
Yeah, I can only share it on my Facebook page, but no one else can see it.
Oh yeah, send it to
Unless you
send it to me. I will. Actually, I know where it's at. I'll put it up. All right. Anyway, so we have Mike with us. Mike, if I pronounce your last name right, Gagnon?
Yeah, it's close enough. It's French. It's Gagnon.
Ah.
Yeah.
I should know you say you were from Canada. It was going to be something like,
Yeah.
It's going to be something with some class, like Gagnon.
Yeah. Well, yeah. See, I don't pronounce it properly myself because I'm more Anglified. So, the correct pronunciation is Gagnon,
Mhm.
which
sounds so proper.
I've butchered. But I just, as long as someone can say Gagnon, I'm fine with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because other people, you got to come to start coming to Michigan, which I'm pretty sure you probably, because we'll destroy it. Like the closer you get to Detroit, Mike Gagnon.
Yeah. Oh, I used to get that in public school during birthdays, announcements, things like that. Anytime they said your name on the over the announcements, it was always I got Gannon, Ganong, Gangon, anything other than what my actual name was.
I'll tell you guys, and I think I've mentioned this before. Had a situation in school where my name is Varian, and the girl that was doing roll call for orientation could not figure out how to say my name. So she just looks at her, she just looks at the parent, she says, Dorothy. And I'm like, oh. And I raise my hand, I'm like, here. And of course, everybody's like, that sounds like a boy voice named Dorothy. Now, today, no one would have batted an eye.
Yeah.
Then I had to explain myself, like, my name is Varian, and I'm not. But the problem with that is that, on my high school diploma, some genius at the Board of Education decided to scratch out my name on the folder and wrote Vivian. So on my high school diploma, I was credited as Vivian, Vivian Grant. And I'm like, who is Vivian Grant? And I've done all this work and this bitch gets my credit. I was very upset. I was very, very upset. Mike, you've got a book out though. And Lola talked to me about it today.
Yeah.
And I'm going to, I don't want to share the pages unless I have your permission.
Oh yeah, you can go ahead. Okay. Yeah, feel free.
All right. And it is called Trumpocalypse Now.
Yes.
It is from Markosia. Is that Markosia Comics, Markosia Press?
Markosia Publishing, and they also use the name Markosia Comics sometimes as well. But they're a publisher that I've worked with before. They're actually based out of Britain.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, so Trumpocalypse Now is the graphic novel you can see there. Again, I wish I had the camera working. For some reason, I can't get the regular one to work either. But anyway, so this is a graphic novel. I've been working on it actually for almost 2 years now, and that's because I was originally doing it as a video game. If you guys are familiar with the concept of a visual novel, so I did it as a visual novel style game that had like choose your own adventure options, and instead of having bad guys at the end of every level, it actually had real world geopolitical trivia that you had to know to get to the next level. And so anyway, the premise of the story is that it's in the near future, in the year 2023, and America is a nuclear wasteland, and the powers that be that are left have decided that they need to send Barack Obama on a mission to stop what's left of America from being destroyed, which they believe is the mysterious enemy is the Russians. And so following that logic, they think the only person that could maybe negotiate with Putin is Trump. So Barack has to go into the nuclear wasteland and find Donald Trump, and then they need to go on a mission around the world to try and save what's left of America.
So did you just make a buddy cop movie with the presidents?
Yeah, yeah, it's essentially that in the post-apocalypse. And they meet other world leaders on the way. So what happened was I made this game, and I knew the subject matter would be a little bit controversial going into it. I knew there'd be a little bit of pushback, but I did not anticipate exactly how much there would be. So when I released the game, all of the ads were banned off and pulled off of social media within about 20 minutes. Literally on launch day, everyone pulled it because of the political overtones of it. Now, to me, this is a satire. It was kind of a comment on what I saw happening in society at the time. And strangely enough, now it's actually more accurate to reality now than when I wrote it. so it's a little bit surreal. But I actually, I've even had professional publicists working on it for me, sending it out to media, and I've had major publications tell me they really like the idea, they think it should be done, but they cannot report on it. They're worried about repercussions. So literally, we weren't even allowed to advertise the game to the demographic anywhere. I actually had to register with Facebook as a political organization to be allowed to advertise the game, but only to users in Canada. So they literally will not allow users in the US to see any ads for the game, or since I literally had my hands tied with the game, we couldn't promote it or advertise it to anyone in the target demographic. We couldn't advertise it in the United States. I started shopping it around to publishers, and I had the same response. There's a lot of publishers that I respect in the US that said, this is great, we really like it, you should get it out, but we can't do it. So luckily I had done a graphic novel with Markosia just last year. I had a horror graphic novel anthology come out called Night Creatures. So they agreed to publish it as a series of graphic novels. So I've been adapting all of the artwork and storylines from the game into graphic novels. So the first volume is out now. The first volume came out on Amazon at the end of March on the 23rd. And so in that first issue, it's really the story of Barack and Donald Trump and a number of other prominent American politicians kind of meeting and coming together in the apocalypse and embarking on an adventure across the United States. And it's been really fun to write. I mean, the idea of throwing all these people together, I mean, Hillary Clinton shows up too. And by the time they find her, she's the president of New Chicago. So she's
finally got it.
Yeah, it's kind of like Mad Max Road Warrior Chicago. And so like there's underground female wrestling going on, and just all kinds of crazy fun satirical stuff, sort of in the spirit of say Team America or South Park. But in this case, I'm using the politicians we see in the news every day as the protagonists. And I've had a lot of people, especially on social media, people who hate Trump assume it's pro-Trump, and then people that love Trump assume it's anti-Trump. And so both groups are angry. And the biggest thing that I like to emphasize is if you actually read the story, the subtext, the kind of hidden message under it all is that all of our leaders should be working together for the betterment of the people who voted them in.
Yeah.
Instead of fighting with each other. Like they get along better in the comic than they do in real life.
Yeah. You know what's funny is that what's funny is that like you said people, both sides are angry, and they're like,
yeah,
and this guy's Canadian. So.
Yeah. Yes. In Canada, we do get a lot of American television and media.
Mm-hmm.
We get all of your news, and we're
sorry.
Yeah, we're almost as terrified as you are. We know what happens there will affect us. It's kind of like we see it happening in the States. We know that it's coming to us in 3 to 6 months. That's kind of how it works in Canada. Yeah. So
it's like red lines. See you soon.
Yeah. It's very much like that. I mean, we're not even that far behind now with the lockdown. I mean, the essential workers, you got to give it up for them. I'm still working because I also teach video game design college class. So I'm still teaching my classes online now with students, as well as working on this sort of stuff. And it's a really good match because I'm able to actually work on my own stuff sometimes, using that as a teaching tool for my students and say, here's how I did this, here's how I made this game or this comic. So it is a different approach because I do have a background in both video games and comics. In particular, I've done work for Marvel and Dark Horse and other companies in the past, but I've never used CGI style video game art exactly in this way.
Right.
To put it together, and I'm actually super loving and enjoying it. And I'm part of kind of a small collection of loose colleagues from the comic book industry that have kind of been making the move over to video games for the last couple years. Mm-hmm. And I'm loving it. Like I wish I had gotten into CGI and digital artwork and digital modeling years ago.
With I have a buddy who went to Full Sail University, and he went for video game design, and he really liked it. But I remember they had the strangest class hours. There were times he had classes very late at night, very early in the morning, and I believe it was because he said that it was because they wanted them to get used to just those really ridiculous hours. That you're gonna spend watching stuff render, because I know with interns, that's usually what they get. They'll have an intern sit there and just watch stuff render and watch for drop frames. Oh, drop frame, go in there, fix it.
That is one of, like, if you're working at a studio, one of the lower entry level jobs. But that is very common. I come from a background working freelance and working contract, so it's unusual that I've been working in class for a while, so I'm used to ridiculous, crazy hours, whether it's comics or video games. In a studio environment, I think it's probably a good idea for people to make a bit of a boundary and maybe not spend their life at work, because you do hear a lot of those stories. You hear stories about people in studios that are working till 10 o'clock at night, and that's scary. And I'm approaching 40 now, so I don't have the same energy level that I had.
I'll tell you something. A friend of mine who's into video games told me as well, and I thought this was very telling. She told me that she's been doing video game design and a lot of independent companies. She's out in California. She told me, she says, I understand why there's so much cheating and sexual tension in the industry. Just because you're locked in an office sometimes for days with somebody late
Yeah.
at night. She says, and then your coworker hands you a bottle of whatever alcohol they have, and you guys start tossing that back and forth between each other, and the next thing you know, your pants are on the copier. And so I thought about that, and Kat, you made a face, but Kat, I mean, if you were, I mean, you've edited so much work. Do you think you could work in a bullpen setting, Kat? Like, could you be the girl around the office who has to edit comics? 'Cause do you understand how many guys are gonna knock on the door and be like, "Yeah, I can't." Yeah.
So,
send the picture of my penis.
To clarify, are we talking about comics or video games?
Both.
Okay.
Yeah, she said video games. She said that there was so much like inner like industry sex going on.
I did not know this.
Yeah.
I feel like this must be the younger generation behind me. This must be because
it could be.
Yeah.
I found out recently. I've been doing comics for years, and I found out all this time that I could have been with, girls on a rig, and here I am married. I'm like, what? You mean there was we had comic book ring rats? Yeah. Nobody told me. I was gonna call them comic connies, but I can't do that because a friend of mine is named Connie, and it's like that seems bad. Kat, how many times have you been photoed with a Comic Con?
Say what?
How many guys in the industry in comic books have tried to flirt with you, like at a show?
At a show?
Yeah.
Probably none.
You've never been slid a hotel room key?
No. Mm-mm.
What kind of
I've not I have not seen any hotel room key type stuff at conventions either, but I've definitely heard about and seen articles about it, and I know there's been some scandalous behavior from some people at major companies at conventions in the past that actually made comics news. And I used to do a lot of conventions. I used to do conventions almost every weekend. I do a very small number now, but there is definitely that subculture or that subgroup where it's kind of like, for lack of a better term, like the comic book groupies, which sounds weird.
I wish I would have known they were out there. Oh my God.
And maybe that's my problem is I was talking earlier about how I was talking to a friend of mine earlier who we were talking about live streams. I said, yeah, I had a whopping 0 people show up for mine this week. And he goes, well, don't take this the wrong way, but you don't have an audience.
Oh.
Maybe that's my problem at cons is I don't have an audience yet to have groupies who want to slide me keys.
Well, I mean, I personally never took part in anything like that as a professional at a show. I've heard of things like that. And I mean, I think if you've been to enough conventions, you know that there is a misconception among some males that the cosplay girls are super easy and hot. Now some of them are very hot. Sure. I'll give you that. And
some of them are easy.
I was going to say some of them are very easy.
And some, but not all. You shouldn't make assumptions is what I was going to get at there. You shouldn't.
On Indie Vote Live, we had a girl write in for, she was at a convention in Chicago, and she wrote in, she says, hey, for Wizard World this weekend, and I edited the email to hell before we put it up. She said, I really want to offer, we're doing cosplay massages.
Interesting.
In our hotel room, duos available. Now here's the problem. I was young.
Was not for massages.
Yeah, the language used is not for massages. And here's the thing. I was 18, 19 years old once. I went on Craigslist and Backpage. I looked at the services available in the escort section. They use words like duos available. Now, I don't need 2 women to massage me at the same time. And I always thought that was pretty weird. And it was we put it up, we edited the number out, but there are some girls out there who will Now, but speaking of girls and getting grabbed by things, Trumpocalypse. No, so are we gonna? What I like about the book though, and the idea of the book. Tell me if I'm going too far off here.
You go ahead. Yeah.
What I like is that in a way you don't. I mean, it's volume 1, so obviously you got more planned, and I haven't read it, but the premise is exciting because you could bring in other political figures, and like one of the cool things about the Avengers is that, and they kept saying is that these characters, the Avengers and the MCU, should not be in the same room together. They don't get along.
Yeah.
And so when you have these different personalities from politics all having to join up in a team together, I mean, you got and you can play you can play it for parody, but you got Crazy Birdie.
Yeah.
Who's like that, Red Scarf Hillary. Scarf. You can bring all these other personalities in from politics and really make a political team. I think that's pretty cool. Is that part of the plan, maybe? Or
it's a little bit like that. It becomes a close knit group, let's say. Now, in the next volume, that's about 3/4 done, is where it's going to take it outside of America, and they go through Canada first. So we add, Trudeau, Prime Minister Trudeau, and Premier Doug Ford to the cast. They make an appearance, and then they are basically giving the team the equipment they need to go over the North Pole and into Russia to confront Putin. And so, Vladimir Putin, Melania, and Donald Trump Jr. show up, and the story will eventually take them to North Korea. And I really love the fact that you mentioned, so is this a buddy cop movie with American politicians? Because there is going to be an entire chapter in the next volume where it's a total like Miami Vice spoof buddy cop chapter with Trump and Kim Jong-un, where they're like Miami Vice cops, buddy cop chapter. And then as the story progresses, of course, by the end of the series, they're going to be back in America. But the first volume is locations all across America. The second volume is international locations like Canada, Russia, North Korea, and Mexico. And then the final volume is back in America, mostly taking place in the southern United States. So it's a whole circle that comes back on itself, and it examines the kind of like what would these personalities be like together, and how would they negotiate to work together on the same team, and like what could they possibly learn from each other, or how can they kind of bring each other over to at least see each other's point of view. There's a lot of that going on, and it's all kind of just subtle subtext in the setting of apocalyptic satire.
Well, I know you said you had a question about the funding. What was
Oh yeah. Now, did you go to any like crowdfunding sources, or is it all you?
I did this all myself. I
Was that a struggle, or did you have any obstacles or anything?
Yeah, well, even just getting the time to make it was, a struggle. Still working for clients and teaching and everything, and then finding out that there would be so much more resistance to even letting people know it existed when it was done. The pushback when I released it was so much more than I ever could have anticipated, to the point where most people in the United States still don't know this book exists. They've never seen the game, because I'm literally blocked from any kind of online advertising in almost any venue I try and go to. So, like I said, the ads lasted on launch day about 20 minutes, and they've been blocked on all the social media channels ever since. So,
well, hopefully you being on the show will help get more people aware of your product.
Yeah, well, that's part of it. The other is just to let people know it exists, but also maybe give people the chance to actually read it and see what the story is about and kind of what some of the messages are about. Like I said, it was my observation about how the leaders of the free world should work together better instead of fighting with each other or being spiteful. And then Everything else was kind of fantasy, and now that it's finally out in graphic novel form, it seems that there's a lot more being mirrored in the story than maybe I intended, that people might assume, thinking, this whole kind of potential apocalypse and everything. So I don't mean to make light of anything going on in the world right now. But at some point we got to laugh about it. And my own, my press agent even said, people are a little tired of the political stuff, so we don't know how they're going to respond to this. And yeah, I get that. I get that political fatigue, but at the same time, we can't just give up and not think. And that's that's what it's about, is getting people to think about how would this work in real life, holding people accountable, things like that. But I know those are very heavy subject matters, but that's why I use satire, because we need to be able to poke fun at it. We need to be able to turn the mirror on society and show kind of the ridiculous funny parts of it.
Kat, look, you wanted to say something. You about to?
Me?
Yeah, I thought you were about to say
Nope.
something.
I'm good.
I wonder if when you
I'm
have
trying to
stories,
stop the cat from whacking the back of my laptop.
when you have stories like this, and there's so many people nowadays that say, oh, I don't want politics in my comics, and I get it, I get it. But when you have a comic that is steeped in politics, I think it gets a pass, especially if you have a message. My comic that I got coming, I've been working on for years, has several religious elements behind it, and if you can get past that, the origins of the story, then there's another story there. It doesn't rely on you having a, because I mean, again, I basically taken a character and Forrest Gumped him into biblical situations, and then well, now he sees this character is still alive, and here's what he's doing now, and it's I know that there's going to be some pushback. I know there's going to be, because of the themes and some of the things I'm going to talk about. I know that there's going to be some pushback, but I've literally had this story in my head since I was 16, maybe even 15. And, I've been working on it for years. And I think I've drawn the book twice now and thrown it away each time because it just wasn't where I wanted it to be. But now, when you decided to turn this into a graphic novel and make a book out of it, a lot of people are going to assume that, oh, well, he just took screenshots from the CGI and the cut scenes he was doing and put them in. And the thing I don't think some people realize about this is that sometimes he can't do that because the setup is a lot different. What can pass as a camera angle, which is fine in a video game because the camera's moving, it doesn't necessarily work in a comic. And can you talk a little bit about that, about how you had to go back in and now take scenes and redo them and redo the characters?
Yeah, so wherever I could, I tried to reuse some of the artwork. Because the game was a visual novel, I actually had a bit of an advantage because all the existing artwork was already in 2D files and they were all in separate layers. So it was a matter of going through like hundreds and hundreds of image assets and picking out the proper pose, and then cutting it together. So it's not done with screenshots. All of the lettering is all new because a lot of the narrative captions weren't in the video game version. So I've used the artwork from the game where I can, but there's also lots of places where I've had to create and generate new artwork to fit the story, and to fit panel layouts, because it's very different when you're making a video game. You're working widescreen, you're fitting a monitor, whereas when you're working on a comic book, it's portrait oriented and you've got panels on a page. And I didn't want to just have every page be a full page landscape image turned on its side. That would have been just, to me, that I wouldn't have liked that. I wouldn't. It would have been a little bit ridiculous.
Now, Kat, how would you go about editing a book like this? Because I know sometimes people present you pages of a book in the finished format before it goes to print. Would this have been a unique challenge to you?
No.
No, it would have been.
Well, I mean, for me, because a lot of times what people want from me once the book is already in this format, is they're just looking for me to proofread the book for them. So I would go through and say like this, page 1, panel 1, you're missing a comma between worry and gentleman.
Mm-hmm.
And, and I would just go through page, panel by panel and make notes for them.
So I get what you're saying. So I just think
Have you edited a book like this before?
Not this type of topic. I'm actually really interested in this book now.
It's I wonder now with now I know this book is available on your own Comixology, Drive Through Comics.
Yep. Amazon. Yeah, Amazon's got it.
And it was actually pretty affordable.
Yes.
You would was it did I see 4? Is that what I saw? $4.99?
Yeah, I believe on Amazon it's in the $4.99 range for the digital version, and the print version is, I believe it was $12.99.
Oh, that's not bad at all.
Yeah, and you can find details and synopses about it and everything also on Markosia's website, which is markosia.com.
Okay.
And it is in a section called Worlds of Darkness because they separate their genres in different pages. So if you go to markosia.com, under books, there's Worlds of Heroes, Worlds of Wonder, and Worlds of Darkness. And so Trumpocalypse Now is one of the books they've published under that Worlds of Darkness banner. Along with, like I said, the graphic novel I did for them last year, Night Creatures, which is all monster and horror themed anthology.
And let me.
Is that in the same style as this one?
Oh, I'm sorry, Lola. I think your microphone. Hold on, let me fix it. Thank you. Yeah. Okay. There you go.
I was asking, is your other book like the style like this, or is it different?
It is in the way that it was a big experiment for me. It was kind of the first time I experimented with using CGI to create the artwork. I didn't have the challenge of adapting a video game, so I was able to make the artwork from scratch, specifically for a comic. So I feel like it was a big learning process just to figure out how to create the same things I would have by hand drawing, or even digitally. I've been digitally illustrating for years before I really got into the modeling and CGI end of things, and so it's definitely a departure from my usual style, which is more traditional. But I'm really enjoying the switch over to CGI. I feel like creating a three-dimensional model of the character represents the idea in my imagination better than illustrating traditionally could have. And so it's something that I'm really exploring now, and I've really kind of immersed myself in the world of visual novels, and I mean that's where I'm going to devote a lot of my creator-owned energies, especially now, even before the lockdown. Shipping is not cheap, distribution isn't cheap, printing isn't cheap, and I think now more than ever, if you're an indie self-publisher, online, digital, in any format's the way to go. Whether it's a web comic, whether it's making your own visual novels, or even digital comics, video games, it's just come so far. I mean, I find a lot of my students are not old enough to appreciate that in the 90s, when I started doing comics, there was no print on demand, there was no Facebook. You had to print 5,000 copies of every comic and hope.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I try to push that so much, and I try to explain to people that there was the cost of admission into this industry used to be so high that people couldn't get in. And what it did was honestly, in my opinion, is it kept a lot of the people, the riffraff, out, because I don't have $2,000-$3,000 to throw into a comic. Fuck that. And they just go away. They wouldn't even bother. But now they can jump online, they can go to Fiverr, get an artist from out the country to hopefully do the art for them, get 25 copies printed up, and get a table at a con, and all of a sudden they want to be treated like a con professional. And I'm not saying they shouldn't be. I think it's great. I think it's awesome to have new ideas being able to be presented. But at the same time, it's like when you open up the neighborhood to everybody, you're gonna get some riffraff. I hate to sound like, I hate to sound like the old racist guy sitting on his lawn. Like there goes the neighborhood, but there goes the neighborhood. You said it's under which under Markosia? It's under which heading?
If you go to the books tab, it's under Worlds of Darkness, and if you scroll down, it'll be in that selection of books. You'll probably see Night Creatures on the way as you scroll down too. But yeah, no, you make a very fair point, and that is that there has to be some standard of quality, and I definitely believe when it comes to indie and small press, it's up to you to ensure that standard of quality. Things like hiring an editor like Katrina, and my girlfriend, who is going to be so irritated that there was that comma missing on that first page, is going to tell me I should have waited for her to finish editing that book. The problem is I get too impatient. And I get tired of waiting for her to edit it, so then I just put it out. So there's Night Creatures in the center right there. One of my favorite covers I've done for a book, but you can see how that's CGI, which is definitely it's the first publication that I've done in that style of artwork. And what I did with that is I tried to kind of merge some of the visual aesthetics that would be in traditional comics together with digital artwork. So that's where you see the background is expressing the anger of the Sasquatch there. And that's from a scene in the book where he's just been happened upon by a human hiker.
You know, there are two things. Well, actually, no, because he doesn't scare. Two things in life that scare me. Werewolves. I don't like. I don't watch werewolf movies. I do not
really
at anything to do with Bigfoot. Because for some reason I believe Bigfoot. Yes, I don't tell you everything because I know how you'll do me. And I'll tell you right now, I am way too interested in the Mothman, and I really believe because I've drawn pictures of the Mothman. I think I was going to make him a villain in my book at one point. I don't know if I still have that sketch, but I am so interested in the Mothman that I know that one day I'm going to be driving to a con middle of the night, and I'm going to see something that's going to look like a Mothman, and I'm going to freak out and run the car off the road because I'm going to tell her, "Hey, look, there it is." I don't know if I have that picture, but I drew.
I'm not in the car.
Yeah. Well, you'll have to be in the car because I'm only gonna if you're not in the car, I'm probably gonna no. You need to be there.
Yeah, you hear that, Mothman? You got to wait until they're both in the car.
Wait till they're both in the car.
We're driving to a con.
We'll drive into a con, and then you may jump out.
There are very specific criteria here.
It's funny because
the whole cons.
It's funny because the two things you're most afraid of are the two things that I am most into. Without ruining it too much for you, the story of the Bigfoot, he fights a werewolf in it. So there's a Bigfoot fighting a werewolf in my Night Creatures comic.
I might be okay with it as long as like somebody needs to win.
I have a whole collection of werewolf movies.
See, I don't. You know what? I'll tell you why I'm afraid of werewolves.
Okay.
And it's I know you guys are gonna laugh. It's a very funny story of why I'm afraid of werewolves. But when I was younger. You guys remember how you used to have to turn the TV to 3 to get your game to start?
Yes.
Well, I was cycling through the television, and you couldn't see the picture, but there was what sounded like a talk show in the background.
Okay.
It was clearly a talk show. It was clearly like a documentary. And the lady said, if an adult male feels bothered, upset, annoyed by the full moon, he may carry a gene inside of him, hereditary, passed down throughout, we're talking about Africa and Greece and Ireland, no matter the race, and this can become a werewolf. And I heard that, and I freaked the hell out. I was young, and I'm like, what? And I'm thinking, and I remember I'm looking at my father like, this motherfucker's a werewolf. And I'm just looking at him, and I remember he was putting together he was repairing all the bathroom floors. My mother decided she wanted new floors in all the bathrooms, and I shit you not, at this particular point, our bathroom upstairs had a skylight.
Okay.
Which is the weirdest thing. Had a skylight, and so my father he'd be in there late and cutting this tile, these glass tiles, so he can go around the toilet, and the sun is shining on him, and he's getting aggravated, and I'm looking at the sun beam down on him, and I'm like, he's gonna turn. I'm going to put my father down, and I'm thinking like I've got like weapons. I'm like, I'm gonna put him down. And I was freaked out for like a good month that my dad was gonna turn into a werewolf. Bigfoot, because there was always a Bigfoot thing in the National Enquirer, and that was always at my height in the supermarket. So I turned it. Bigfoot found in Chicago. Bigfoot found in Michigan. Where in Michigan? Christ, I live by the woods. I can't. What if he's out there? What if he's knocking on? What if he kills the dog? And I was freaked out. So Bigfoot, Yetis, that type of shit. Yeah. Nope, not your boy. Like Wendigo. Wendigo.
Yeah.
No snow creature. Big ass snow.
I know you're afraid of that.
I'm straight. Nope. You can forget that shit.
And you're afraid of Ronan.
No, see, it's just somebody's makeup. This Ronan the Accuser scares me too. It's somebody's makeup. I just don't. I don't like. No, when he's just regular blue Ronan, that was fine. When he puts that black mascara and it's running, and that, I'm straight. I'm good. I turned away from the screen. I know that makes me sound like a bitch. I know it does. But now,
When you wake up in your sleep screaming,
you be quiet, Lola. Lola did get a chance to watch me scream in my sleep from I was
crying in sleep.
I was medicated. So night
Ronan was coming to get him, and Ronan was stealing his chicken.
Well, listen, if someone was stealing your chicken, wouldn't you cry too? So now we got Night Creatures here, 104 pages this particular book. All done by you, Mike.
Yeah.
So now Book Depository, Wordery, Barnes & Noble, Waterstones, Books, etc., Foils, Amazon, Comixology, and of course Drive Through Comics.
Yes.
And then you get, so this is now, when did you come out with this one? What year was this?
This would have been this came out in sorry, excuse me, in time for Halloween last year. So it came out in September of 2019. I believe that was it was September, I'm pretty sure, 2019. And again, had a heck of a lot of fun with it because Markosia is really, really good about giving creators a lot of freedom. So I pitched it to them with just the first chapter.
Mm-hmm.
I hadn't even had the first chapter finished. I think I showed them 10 pages and I was like, listen, here's what I want to do. CGI format like this, horror anthology, and every issue has a different type of monster, and it's just completely messed up, and murder and mayhem and psychological torture. and they were like, okay. And
they
so
did. They did.
And
I want to read
the publisher, the Harry Marcos is the owner of the publishing company, and Harry basically gave me all the freedom I could ask for, which, having been used to working freelance for other publishing companies, I had not been used to. There is definitely a lot more restriction on writers, especially for the larger mainstream companies.
Mm-hmm.
So I had actually just gotten off of a job. I was doing promo stories for Marvel for a CGI app for making your own Marvel superhero stories, and it's called Marvel Your Own. And yeah, there was a lot of restrictions on the kind of stories we were allowed to tell. So I got stopped on a lot of story points that I wanted to use. So going from that to having the freedom to do whatever I wanted was very nice.
I'm surprised that Marvel has actual editors. That you wouldn't think it nowadays. You wouldn't. I'm sorry. I'm not going to get you in trouble. I'm not going to get in trouble, Mike. I'm not.
Yeah.
I know you may have to work there again, so I'm not going to push too
Yeah,
much.
we'll see.
Now with that said, you got this book, you got the other one. You got Markosia put your books out.
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear there's a publisher out there treating people really well. One of the things that I try to do with my publishing company is I try to remember like what would I need if I was an artist, and I am, but as a creator, if I was looking for a deal, what would I like? And what I find is people tend, unfortunately, to try to take advantage of any publisher they can. And so when you hear about people actually supporting their publisher, being happy with how things are handled, it really reinstills my faith in this industry, because so many times, I know people who will wait till their publisher has a problem, or there's a small hiccup in there. Oh, well, they did this to me and they did that. So I'm really happy to hear about, I see that you're actually happy over there, Markosia. Is it, you got another project you're getting ready to drop besides volume 2 of this?
Other than that, I'm actually working on a visual novel for my own independent label, which is All Day Breakfast Productions, and I am working on a story called The Last Barbarian. And it takes place kind of in the time of Conan, and it's entirely meant to be a spoof on Conan. And the barbarian's name is Cram. And so he's Cram the Barbarian, and he and the last few remaining barbarians that are left have become a mercenary group that will work for anyone who can pay them. And it takes place in a time where civilization is trying to move away from barbarism. So barbarians are kind of seen as passé. They're kind of less popular. They're kind of looked down upon. And there is a old man who hires them to retrieve treasure that's been stolen from him. And what they don't know is this old man is actually an evil sorcerer in disguise, and sets in motion a series of events that may leave Cram to be the last barbarian on Earth.
Oh, you know what? You do that. I tell you what, I will. I know you haven't seen my art, but I'll do a variant cover for you. How about that?
Sure. Yeah.
I like drawing barbarians. I don't get enough.
Yeah. No.
Especially if it's a Conan spoof, I got to do it. I got you.
Yeah. No. That's totally cool. I'm very, very interested in that, and you can actually see previews of the visual novel while I'm making it on my Twitch channel, and there's sample art on the website, and actually the main page has been turned into a visual novel now, just at the beginning. So if you go to my website, instead of the regular website now, it actually starts a visual novel game right away.
Let's see, the website is, which one was it again?
It's alldaybreakfast.games.
Alldaybreakfast.games.
Yeah.
Let's share it. It's better not be porn. I'm just kidding.
It's not. So there's yeah, so there's that. You may have to click to get it started. I'm still working out a couple bugs on that, but
can everybody hear that? I should hold on. Let me put the sound in there.
That's okay.
Should put sound there. Hi, I'm Mike, head of All Day Breakfast Productions. So should I click more about new project?
Yeah.
Or?
Yeah.
Okay. I think
yes. Yeah, so click on learn more about new project.
Oh, did I click the one? Oh, I did. Okay. There we go.
All right.
Ah.
So there's Cram from The Last Barbarian.
Yeah.
That looks cool.
Thank you very much. So the whole idea is I'm going to be building an interactive visual novel experience for the website. And so it's like playing a game, and as you move through the world of the game, you discover more games that are made by All Day Breakfast Productions, themed on all the different characters you encounter in the website. And there's like going to be chat rooms and stuff. It's very much under construction, but the website is like a free visual novel game that you can play and learn more about and get connected to different things like my YouTube or Twitter, but also there'll be an area where you're in a fantasy village, and depending on the choices you make, it will actually take you to a whole side game featuring cram, and there'll be games that they play inside the pub and things like that. So it's just kind of like games within games, and just fun. It's just something I wanted to do that was fun and kind of share all of my ideas and characters in one place. So that's kind of my pet project right now, and I'm about halfway done the Last Barbarian visual novel game. So things like the demo versions of games and the beta versions of games will be available for people to test and give feedback on the website while you're still inside like the visual novel game experience. So it's it'll be a little bit more immersive, and again there's a lot of features that aren't on there yet, but they are coming soon.
Does Gassy Man do what I think he does?
Yes. Gassy Man is actually a game I made in class that I used to teach lessons in class in Unity game engine. And it's a little cartoon of me, just like the one you see on the screen there. It's a manga style cartoon of me that is fighting UFOs that are attacking the Earth, and I fly by farting. So in the game, you have to pick up things like chili burgers to increase your fart power, and you have to pick up bread and cheese to reduce your brown meter, because if you fill the brown meter, you will poop yourself and fall out of the sky.
Oh no!
So you have to be very careful. So it was just something that I did for fun, and I had my students actually beta test it and give me feedback, and we tweaked it together. And so that's something that will be available to play in beta format very soon on that website as well.
That's awesome. I'm gonna have to talk to you about making a game. I've actually started learning coding.
Okay.
And, we'll talk. We'll be in touch.
Yeah, for sure.
Real quick, Kat, your 5-book challenge. I do have somebody here on Indie Vote Radio, which I want to tell everyone and thank you. Today we got to 9,100 something viewers. 9,100.
Nice.
Thanks everybody for listening.
Hello everyone in the UK, Germany, Australia. Really want to thank you guys, in Mexico. Thank you. Someone asked about the 5-book deal. They said, would a 45-page novel be okay?
I would do a discount on a 45-page.
Okay. All right. So yeah, if you want, contact Katrina at Katrina Roets. You can. That's your Twitter, right? At Katrina Roets. At KATRINAROETS, and make sure you message her, let her know, hey, I heard you on Indie Vote, and I want to know about that 5-book deal. But it's not $5. Remember, you can send her 5 books, she's gonna charge you for it. But if
I'll take the first one off, and then it's after that.
Yeah. But yeah, so she will look at those books. And for 45, she's going to give you a discount. Real quick, Lola, you did get a message here. It didn't do what it usually does, but Germs wrote, he says, how about Geekgasm After Dark, maybe on radio?
Maybe. What would the topics be?
Oh, God, you're on the radio, so you can do what you want. That'd be kind of rough.
I think this is the tamest show I've done so far.
Yeah, it is. It's pretty tame. This
episode is super tame.
This is almost Indie Vote-ish. Oh
I didn't know that. You told me. If you had told me, I could have been worse. I mean, I was sober for this, guys.
Calm and well behaved.
Oh, it gets pretty out there.
Yeah, it gets pretty out there. Mike, we definitely want to have you back on very soon.
Awesome.
We'll probably get you on Indie Vote Live one of these Tuesday nights, especially when I have all the Canadian guys in, like Simon and Larry and the other Larry. And there's a ton of Larrys. Yeah.
And almost Canadian me.
Yeah, almost Canadian. Yeah.
Almost Canadian.
Yeah,
I've lived on the fringes.
Yeah. Real quick, Kat, tell everybody where they can find you at, because we're getting ready to wrap up. Tell everybody where they can find you at, and then Mike, you're gonna go after Kat.
Sure.
All right. Well, you can find me on Facebook under Katrina Roets or Katrina Roets Author. You can also find me on that was easy to say. CatScratchPress.com. That's KAT Scratch Press. You can find out my services there, read my ramblings, and check out this week's writing theme.
Cool. That sounds pretty good. And I'm gonna. You can always find me trolling Kat too on her sites. Usually I'm out there. I want a new writing prompt. First, there's this guy, right? He walks into a bar. Ouch. And then, Mike, where can they find you at, sir?
The easiest places to find me are alldaybreakfast.games, spelt in the exact proper spelling, no special spellings, as well as on Facebook at All Day Breakfast Productions. If you search that, you'll find the page there. Those are the best places to reach me, and if you follow the links on those places, you can check out my work. You can see my my Twitch stream, and you can send messages. You can send feedback directly if you like any of the work I'm doing. If you have an opinion or a thought on a story, there's a spot there that you can actually contact me and share your thoughts. And I sometimes will read those on Twitch or respond on Twitter.
Cool. That sounds cool. And then, of course, you can catch Lola. And Lola does every Wednesday at 9 p.m.
And on Indie Vote Live every Tuesday at 9 p.m.
That's right, but we want to tell those people who are listening, Indie Vote Radio, who are listening tonight, we thank you. 9,100 people listening. Actually, 9,118 is the number right now listening on Indie Vote Radio. We really appreciate that. We love you guys. Indie Vote Radio, take us with you wherever you go. It's a perfect companion to our official website, indievote.com. Indie Vote Radio plays the best in indie music, entertainment, news, and more 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Hearing from talent like Park Squares and Alleys and Dimswan. Download the Indie Vote Radio app on Android, Google Play Store, or listen in with the Streamer app on iOS. You can also check out Indie Vote Radio by visiting our official site, indievote.com, and utilizing the built-in player right there on the front page. Also, because you're stuck in the house and you can't go anywhere, we know it. We know it.
We got you covered.
That's right.
Ooh.
Indie Vote TV is the over-the-top streaming service available on Roku and coming very soon to Amazon Fire Stick and more. Stream independent movies, music videos, wrestling, original documentaries, and more on Indie Vote TV. And did I mention it's free? Find Indie Vote TV by searching the channel store on your Roku device or Roku-enabled television. That is it for us, guys. I will be back tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. on Indie Vote Breakfast Buzz.
Not me.
Yeah, she'll be asleep.
I'll wake him up at 8, and then I'll go back to bed.
Yeah.
Sounds like a perfect plan to me.
Yeah. I stumble out.
That's how it works around here too.
Yeah. It's really messed up. It's not fair. We want to thank everybody for listening in. Check out Trumpocalypse Now, Night Creatures, Markosia.com has those books available for you, as well as Comicsology, Comics, Drive-Thru Comics, and wherever fine comic books are sold. Mike, Kat, thanks for being with us tonight.
Thank you so much.
Happy to be here.
Appreciate it.
We will see everybody back here tomorrow morning, and then of course Tuesday night at 9 p.m. for Indie Vote Live, and then of course we have a special show that we're doing, special drawing show we're going to be doing Friday night at 9, which is going to have a couple of artists in there. I believe right now we got Josh Lyman locked in, as well as Eric Hodson. We'll be doing some live drawing, taking your request, which should be pretty interesting. So I will see you guys in. Lola will see you guys. Lola, wave bye-bye to the camera. Make him jiggle. That helps ratings.
There you go.
There we go. Everyone have a good night. Stay healthy. We'll see you soon.
Thanks.
Bye, guys.